have the pectoral girdle. So what makes up the pectoral girdle?
It begins with the T.
So let's feel the pectoral girdle.
It's the
Pectoral
third.
girdle is up here.
Yeah.
So what's this?
This is the
Third.
Starts with the C.
Clavicle.
Clavicle. And if you actually feel it, I don't know, some
Yeah.
people can feel it or some people can't. But if you feel it, you can feel where it articulates the mandible right here at the top. And then if you walk along it, you can feel how it curves.
Up to the shoulder.
And then you can feel a process right here in the point of attachment for muscle. Right there. And if you further go up, it's got a funky notch right before it gets to your shoulder. That's called the coracoid process. That's also another point of attachment. And then it goes to your
The
shoulder.
deltoid, yeah.
So I always tell people, when you're doing a loud practical, if you can't touch what's on the table, touch yourself. Even if it looks weird.
I'm all the pelvic, I'm all, just kidding.
Yeah, I did it during mine. People were like, what the heck is she doing? It worked. I got a name.
She's all doing the splits. She's all.
Okay, that's not quite right. So let's look at a clavicle. Pull one out.
And it's on over. CTO.
We have one in here. We have tons of ribs. Anybody want a rib?
I know. More barbecue sauce, hot sauce.
Okay, here we go. So, let me pass this around so we can do show and tell. So, here is the clavicle.
Clavicle, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an S. So, where do you think it touches the mandible?
Right there, yeah.
Right there with this flat end, right? So, this is going to be by your shoulder. Okay? So, you want to pass that around so we can take a look? Okay. So, would that be considered a long bone, flat bone, or a regular shaped bone?
That's
Regular?
Long.
flat.
It's actually considered a long bone.
Oh, darn it.
Flat bone's your sternum.
Okay,
Yeah,
I guessed.
So what's this bone? This is the only bone in the body that does not articulate with another bone. This is the hyoid. What is kind of interesting to remember this one, that everyone that I know that ever tutored me, taught me, is if you ever get strangled, it breaks. So someone strangles you hard enough, they break it.
Here?
It's actually here. It's right underneath here. And it actually helps support your tongue.
I can feel it.
Oh,
It's free floating. It doesn't articulate with another bone.
That's scary.
It's one of the few that does not. It's got ligaments, tendons, and muscles that support it.
And what is that called?
That's called
The hyoid.
hyoid bone.
There's a picture in there of just the whole body, and it's like the only thing that's labeled on its own. I think it's this direction. Go this way, the other way. Yeah,
So just remember, if you get
Keep
choked and
the
you
whole
die,
body
that's
one.
when she's
There.
broken.
ahoy.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to get strangled and
What does
find
it
out.
consist of?
Huh?
It consists of,
The ligaments.
It's the only bone that does not articulate with another bone. It's supported by tendons, ligaments,
She
and
asked that
muscles.
on our lab, what supports the tongue?
And this
That's
supports
the
the tongue.
hyoid.
So do you want to pass that around and everyone can look? Okay. All right, here's another little bone. It doesn't have anything to do with the upper body, lower body. So what's this? That's your patella, right? What type of bone is that? Flat, irregular, or
Flat.
it's a sesamoid? It looks like a sesame seed.
Okay.
Pardon my dry hands, by the way. Here you go. Pass that around. All right, so we got those little ones done. Okay, let's go to. So, what are the two bones that make up the pectoral girdle? The pectoral girdle's up here, right?
The deltoid,
So we've got this one, which we talked about, is what?
the clavicle,
Then we've got a bone back here. What's that bone called?
the scapula.
Scapula. So the two bones that make up pectoral girdle are the scapula and the clavicle. So here's a question they are for sure going to ask you, both teachers. Is this right or left?
Hold it up.
That's
Right.
Okay, let's test that out.
Oh, darn it. It's the, oh, it is? Okay.
That is correct. It's my left hand.
Okay.
So what are you going to look for to tell if it's right or left?
Which way?
Which way is it going?
Open?
Okay. You're going to know, first of all, this is the axial, not the axial, well, this goes to the lateral. So this is called the lateral border, and this is the medial border. The medial border is straighter. It faces the spine.
Okay.
Okay? So the medial border faces the spine. This one that's kind of curved is where your arm fits. Okay? This is called the lateral border. Okay? Distinguishing features of this are, this is called the spine of the scapula. This little process up here is called the acromion process. This little process here is called the coracoid process. That's where the clavicle articulates with the scapula. This little groove in here is where a muscle's going to fit, and it's one of the muscles you guys are going to have to know. So this is called the supraspinatus fossa, and this is the infraspinatus fossa. There's a muscle that goes up here, and there's a muscle that goes in here. And as you can see, it's kind of concave,
Is it the
so a
iliac?
muscle can fit in there.
Is it the iliac?
Huh? No, it's called
No.
the supraspinatus.
Oh, that's for down here.
Supraspinatus and the infraspinatus,
Okay.
the two muscles. So that's usually why you see the real weird shapes in bones, is there's usually a muscle that's going to be attached to it. So fossa is where there's attachments, processes is where there's attachments, and tuberosity. So those three things are points of attachments: tuberosity, fossas, and processes. A muscle is always going to attach. So why don't you pass it around so you guys can look? Okay. And when we're done with those ones, just make sure you put them in the bag. Okay. So we've done the pectoral girdle. Okay. So let's move on to the